In my last couple of videos where I talk about YouTube Christians and how to deal with certain unruly types of them. They're not all the same, but certain ones that just come at you. They've been more popular, so I think that's good. I need my channel activity to increase, and I've had some people join, and it's picking up a little bit since then. So I'm going to stay on this path until I can get more attention. What I want to do is, in this case, talk about a comment somebody made again. It's a fun one to analyze. The person, it's about science and Christianity and how they don't go together. And the person is another one that believes, yes, that there's no problem with it. So I want to talk about that and his comment as well. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the channel. For me, these tend to start by just spotting conversation that someone else is in. And I will, in this case, I saw a conversation that one person was having with a number of other people, and that I realized that's the person I wanted right there. Just a number of things that I observed in the post. So I just approached that person because they were very eager to try to get things across to people. I simply asked them, why is it that when I go talk to people about science, all we talk about is science? But if you talk to people today about theism, they're also talking about science. Why? Who has what? Who's got something to work with? Can you answer that simple question? And the reply, he politely said, "Oh, you sound curious. That's good. You have a polite question. I'm going to work. I'll get back with you later." So he was so eager to talk to me. He even left that message, but he's like giving me a pat on the head at the same time. So these are things right off the bat that I'm bringing to it before he replies. Okay, and here is his reply. What he's doing right here, this first line is he's quoting me. "You cannot use natural to prove supernatural. Otherwise, it would be natural." Yeah, that's what I said. And he said, "And what is wrong with that, Daniel?" I don't think he understood what I said. You cannot use natural to prove supernatural. Otherwise, it would be natural. What's wrong with that, Daniel? You're making supernatural claims, not natural claims. Do you understand that? Okay, you have a supernatural claim on the table, not a natural claim. Okay, you cannot use nature to prove supernatural. That's all that is doing is a inverted way of saying existence, therefore God, using different verbiage. What's wrong with that? Well, you don't get, because you just said existence, therefore God. That's why. That's not wrong for you, but it's wrong for me. It's wrong for people that think, that seek with open minds. If science attempts to discover the nature of reality and the supernatural and God are actually real, then they are both discoverable by science. Then they are natural. I think that's what I said in my comment to him. I was trying to tell him that, yeah, you can, that they would be natural, that it's not supernatural. So he said, why would that be a problem to the theist? If God exists, it's because he can exist. At some point you're like, what? This doesn't even make any kind of sense. It's just blabbering. Why would that be a problem to a theist? If God exists, it's because he can exist. Well, anything that exists because it can exist, honestly. But that doesn't mean God exists. You haven't proven God. You have a supernatural claim on the table. Do you know that? I don't think they do sometimes. They got this wrapped up so much that it's so true that everything that you see out there in nature and everything that nature comes up with proves God. And it's like, what the hell? Anyway, okay, if there is something independent of our material universe, then that is because something can be independent of it. If God can perform miracles, then it is because it's possible for God to perform miracles. I'm going to spread those out. Those are two different things. But if there is something independent of our material universe, that one I question because that's weird. That's weird terminology, and it's not very well explained. I put a note in there. What is material universe? Do you mean within our universe there is 99.9% of it is all filled with energy that is not matter, and that you're talking about matter, and that things can exist outside of the material, what we see, that things can exist outside of matter, which they can. But you know what? Light, solar radiation, ultraviolet radiation, the pings you're getting from stars spinning, the explosions of other stars, all that kind of stuff, all that energy that's out there, those are not supernatural. Okay, those are energy-based. Everything in the universe is based in energy, and it is all natural. So I don't know if you're trying I'm going to be careful. It almost sounds like you're trying to imply that if it's outside of something physical, then it's supernatural. You know what? That's like saying I got radio signals all around me I'm not tuned into right now. But if I turn on a radio, I start picking up my favorite songs. Yay. And that must be supernatural because it's not in the physical world. I don't think that's what you're saying, because that would be a little bit too ridiculous. Everything that happens in this universe is based in energy. Even matter is energy that is tied up as matter at the moment. So what you're suggesting, if you're suggesting outside of the universe, that I don't even know. I don't really know what you mean by that term. So it's hard to address it. I doubt you mean outside of our universe. If there was something independent of our material universe, then that is because something can be independent of it. So what? If I am happy, that's because I can be happy. What does that even mean? It's meaningless. It's not interactive. It's not even a platitude. If God can perform miracles, then it's because it's possible for God to perform miracles. It doesn't sound the same, but for the point of impact, that's really not much different than saying if God can go poop, it's because it's possible for God to go poop. You're not saying anything. I asked, there's a defined material universe. Then you got, so yes, God is every bit natural. What kind of thinking or non-thinking gets you there? From this conversation we've had. You're making a supernatural claim, and from there you're suddenly saying, yes, God is every bit natural. Okay, you see this up here? And what is wrong with that, Daniel? And down here, my second question, Daniel. That right there is him letting me know that he's full of himself. These are things that you might not catch unless you have the right kind of personality. Let me just describe it like this. I am an incredibly private person. I can hang out with people all day long and talk and things like that, but as people are starting to get into... If somebody came up and said, hey, how you doing? So what'd you do yesterday? What'd you have for dinner last night? What about that? I'd be like, what? That's over and done with. What are you even talking about? It's so unimportant. There's things that just bug me because of my extreme introverted personality nature. That doesn't mean shy. It means introverted. If I'm not making videos or if I'm not with my wife, I'm alone. So it's extreme introversion. And I really, yeah. Okay. So if you're that way, you would probably get something like this, where it's like somebody is trying to be too familiar. It's somebody that wants to try and somehow influence you in some way. Meanwhile, you're back here looking at things and they're not. They just think that they've got it all and they're going to come and absorb you up. Meanwhile, you're back here watching them run around down there like a bunch of little monkeys, and they think they're gathering you up. So that's something right there to know, is that person mentally is coming from a standpoint that they have this idea of some sort of they're going to come at you with an arrogance and an air of superiority, and they are going to be completely comfortable and confident with that, while you're looking at them going, wow, how come you don't even think? But if you get into it with them, you just get twisted up into something that's not. You get caught in their world. It's like a whirlpool. It's a turmoil. It's crazy. They're comfortable there. It is crazy stuff all over the place instead of just a straight, easy to understand truth. It's just scattered all over. And they just pass by like it's no big deal. Meanwhile, you're sitting there going, I don't understand the thing you just said. And then you look at it carefully and go, I don't think you understand the thing you said either. And if you can make sense out of that, then you're making up definitions at this point. All right, he says, my second question is, why would you limit us and prevent us from using science to find God, the supernatural, the existence of miracles, etc.? To me, this seems to be a bit disingenuous, coming from a group, atheists, that routinely demand evidence for this belief. So what is it? I put a note in here. What I do is teach that science isn't theism and theism isn't science. For you to say, why would you limit us and prevent us? Okay, nobody's limiting and preventing you. You do what you want to. Christians do what they want. What I am doing is pointing out what you're doing. Everybody else, you see that though. Let's look at it again. What I'm going to suggest is from the point of evolution, this is a demonization of the others process hidden in the background. Why would you limit us and prevent us from using science to find God, the supernatural, the existence of miracles, etc.? So now he's got this idea in his mind that I am preventing them from finding miracles. Did that ever happen? Nope. But in his mind it just did. He just created this entire dialogue that makes me a bad guy. Does that limit you? Wah, wah. To find God, the supernatural, the existence of miracles, etc. It is not disingenuous, coming from a group of atheists. I don't find God, but I do not deny God. This is a person that believes it's me or you. You either are with us or you're with them. So here's a person that's a divider, thinks that they're superior, has also exhibited some of the demonization behavior, that accusation there that why you are stopping us from finding miracles. Yeah. This guy doesn't want grandma to get healed is what that's going to boil down to. And that's how people demonize you. They just make up stuff in their heads. And let's see. So I'm not sure what is this. Demand evidence for this. Yeah, there is no evidence. I don't know what he's asking. I don't know if he knows. Okay, yeah. Can I use the evidence that points to God, or am I not allowed to? Okay. So here's what happens. What you just asked me right there is if you could cherry pick science. Do you see that? Let's look at it again. You said, can I use the evidence that points to God, or am I not allowed to? Let me ask you a question. Are you doing science or theism? You can use the evidence that points to God if you're doing theism, because that's your purpose. That's not science. You have a belief already, and you're trying to grab little bits and pieces along the way that might support, or at least don't conflict with what your claim is. They don't connect. They don't make sense. It still, at the end of the day, says existence, therefore God. No matter how thick it's layered, it'll distill right down to that. What's important to understand is that science will not do that. Science will not grab the evidence that it wants to. Science grabs all the evidence that it can gather and tries to make sense out of it. It doesn't discard, or it doesn't say, this doesn't support what I'm going after, so I'm going to discard that one. Right here, you just told me you're cherry-picking science. Do you see why you're not doing science? What was it again? Can I use the evidence that points to God, or am I not allowed to? The reality of it is, you're going to do whatever you want to. You're going to claim it. And you're going to want me, and you're going to try to tell people that I am trying to stop you, when I'm actually telling people, look at what these guys are doing over here. Look at what they're doing for viability. They're taking somebody else's viability and trying to claim it as theirs. Are you using science that you found in church? I have a relative. I'll leave it at that. That because I found fossilized seashells on top of a mountain on a climb, and I'm showing pictures to family and things like that, the cool stuff, who says, bingo, right there. You just proved Noah's flood. That's it right there. Because the fossil seashells are there, that's science. And they're up on top of a mountain, that's science. The flood came and covered everything, that's science. 6,000 years ago, God created the earth, the heavens and the earth, that's science. And you look at that and go, holy crap. You cannot use science to claim supernatural. You're not going that extreme. You're downstream, still doing the same thing, though. Just a less obvious version of it. It's not science. It's trying to use carefully selected scientific data points that seem to support your claim, while ignoring all the others and never looking at where else those might point to. Seeking and knocking for righteousness with an open mind means if there's God out there, you'll find God, but you don't say there's God and then go focus on making sure that the data that you find gets there. You're not going to get there. You're not doing science. You can do what you want. I'm not stopping you. You can't play martyr with me either. Those are highly practiced. Everybody see that? There's a little bit of martyr going in there too. Like I'm not stopping you. I'm doing a video exposing you. And I wish you would do one on your channel exposing me. I love it. I can stand up for what I say. Okay, let's get back to what we were looking at here. Second question we got through there. Okay, so cherry picking, sure. And I put down here a note. Science would look for what is there with an open mind, not wait for data points from science that seem to be usable to a theist. Yeah, bingo, that's it. Step back far enough, that's what you see happening. When theists speak about evidences for God through science, of course, we are talking also about the supernatural. Well, of course you are. Yeah, you have a belief in supernatural. I get that. Yeah, you believe in something that is not demonstrable and cannot be interacted with. At least Christian theists. I don't know. There are Christian theists actually that are faith-based. They don't care about this stuff you're talking about at all. So you can't really speak for everyone. Be careful. That's getting close to logical fallacy. You're trying to increase the size of your group right there. The reason we aren't talking about faith in a discussion of empirical evidence is because faith isn't about how we came to believe, but rather what we do with what we believe. Yeah, I get that. You believe in a religion that is supernatural, and you can have faith in that. Yeah, okay, that's fine. It's like talking test tubes. I think this actually, I looked at this, I think he means to say it's like talking about test tubes versus a love poem. It's two different fields of thought. Science and, yeah, it's vinegar and water. Okay. It's two different fields of thought. Test tubes versus a love poem. They don't go together though, right? You put a love poem in a test tube? Or maybe write love poems about test tubes. It's two different fields of thought, so the simple answer to your question, why is that, do you suppose, is that you deny us the right to use science to support our beliefs, and then you mischaracterize us as if you really don't ever interact with certain personality types like me. Okay, I didn't mischaracterize anybody. I asked a question. Is that you deny us? I didn't deny them anything. I did not deny them the right. I'm pointing out that they can't. So right here is finally off. I mean, right here he's saying, okay, I'm going to demonize you again and suggest here that you are trying to take science away from us to not support our beliefs. And I didn't mischaracterize us as if you really don't ever enter. Yeah, I don't know. It went kind of off the rails there at the end. Let me click that off. Okay, yeah, it's just a lot of weird stuff. So what do we get out of there, though? Let's make a list. What did we see out of this one thing? I'm going to take number one here. Even once was enough, but he did it twice. Daniel times 2. Trying to sidle up. But also, to me, denotes the person feels superior. Doesn't mean that they put me down. It means that they feel like they know it all. They know what they feel like they got it. They're going to be full of themselves. There's a lot that goes with that. Okay, what else did we have? If. Yeah, logical fallacy. This whole part right here that says So yes, God is every bit natural. There is no possible way to get that of what we talked about up here. Material universe, I'm uncertain of. That would have to be a question. If we continued on, I'd be very curious about that. That would be an interesting one. That's either outside the universe, or the person is suggesting that the energy that isn't physical is supernatural, which would be whew, or that something is out there in that energy, the natural energy that is supernatural blended with it or something, and at some point, it just goes off anyway. So that, there's no sense in that right there. Second question, why would you limit? So now there's also slight demonization. He's trying to accuse me of stopping them from something that I'm not trying to stop them from. No one's trying to stop them from anything. And if you can find God to answer prayers and heal cancer and stop tsunamis that wipe out 250,000 people just all that stuff, then let me know. I'm all for you. I'll go talk to that God too. Just come up with it, okay? And what else? And then again, that final one there. Why is it that you deny us the right? He said it again. I'm not denying anything. Denying the right to use science. I'm pointing out that science it's improper for you to use it to support our beliefs, because you're trying to use something that is solid to support something that is a supernatural faith claim. And then you mischaracterize us. I have not mischaracterized anybody. So he's just basically just labeled me as this bad guy for having done things that I never did. I didn't say any of that. So that's how we analyze the material. Okay. Yeah, that's what I get out of the individual right there. Other things as well, plus the fact that they obviously don't know science, or they got obscure in that one spot there. Maybe that's where they're trying to leave it. Yeah, maybe. That's the region you need to go to. What does that mean right there, that universe term you used? Outside of the physical universe. The entire universe is a structure. It's a universe. It's physical. It exists in energy and matter, but it's all core energy. The energy starts first, and from that things emerge. We are downstream. Okay, everybody see that? That's how you analyze and look at what's going on and kind of read people and see some things. And once you analyze it, you realize the person is really not saying anything. There's some kind of twisted up verbal thing going on that, who would that make sense to? Who would listen to that and go, oh, that's great? There are people who will. They will. Oh, you know what? I was going to make a point and I forgot. I went back, added this in. Somewhere in the Nag Hammadi, I don't recall where it is. It's not in the Gospel of Thomas or the Gospel of Philip. It's farther back in there. I don't have time to look for stuff. I got too much going on. But I remember one time reading something about avoiding people that were loquacious. Something to that effect. Okay, so loquacious is what we run into with some of this material. It's a part of also certain personality processes. So if you ask a simple question, you might get an answer that's like pages long. I would get that from a brother of mine who talk about Adam and Eve, and I asked him, well, do you actually believe Adam and Eve were existing, existed, created like that? 20 minutes later, he's still flipping back and forth, going through things, and you're like, wow, that was a yes or no question. That's loquacious. That is people that are going down some path that is like, there really isn't an answer. It's a long path of confusion for most people. To them, they've worked it through until they've got that practiced as something that works for them. In the meantime, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's an outward path that they have created in their own belief. So that's something else you will see in certain people like this. There's a simple question that's asked, and then the verbiage comes back that is like very unclear. There's too much of it. It's blabbery. Anyway, so that was there as well. The loquacious nature of the material. Let me add that in. I'll take out that second demonization. It happened twice, demonization. No, I'll leave it in because it did happen twice. And then The loquaciousness. Okay. Those are all things. We've been warned in the material to watch out and stay away from loquaciousness. There we have it. You see it. Bingo, bingo. Every time you ask simple questions and somebody writes you a book that doesn't make any sense, that's it right there. That's who they warn us to stay away from. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.